Good day. Thank you for joining. My name is Andres Soto. I'm the president of the Student Professionalism and Ethics Association at Roseman University College of Dental Medicine. I am also a recipient of the Navy HBSP Scholarship. I will be interviewing Dr. Corinne Devin, who is a commander in the United States Navy, and Dr. Damaris Candelario Soto, who is a lieutenant colonel in the United States Air Force. I will be interviewing them with my colleague Ji Yun, who had spent some time in the Army before she got into dental school, so she will be providing some insights of her own. As a disclaimer, the views presented are those of the speakers or authors and do not necessarily represent the views of the Department of Defense or its components. Unfortunately, due to a fault of mine, we started the interview a little early. Dr. Corinne Devin does join a little into the interview, but again, that was a mix up of mine. But I thought that the interview went smoothly. I learned a lot, and I hope you do too. Thank you so much. Enjoy.
You follow the uniforms and everybody, army green, navy blue, we blue too. So, and we happen to recognize, people and kind of mingle a little bit, but yeah.
Maybe you met him somewhere down the road and you just don't remember.
I don't know. He's very friendly. He is very friendly. I honestly, there's people that have that photographic memory. They see a face and they will never forget. So,
Are you ladies ready to start?
yeah,
I'm ready.
All right, sounds good. Ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to introduce a distinguished figure whose career in dentistry spans both military and civilian sectors. After earning her dental degree from the University of Puerto Rico and a master's in public health from the University of Alabama, she joined the United States Air Force, serving as a reservist for 22 years as a board-certified endodontist. A speaker at the Hinman Dental Conference and a dedicated board member of Sur Familia, she enriches Latino communities through extensive family, social, and mental health services. Today, she leads Endodontic Associates of Georgia, overseeing 4 locations and a dental assistant school. Alongside her professional pursuits, she enriches her business expertise through the MGE Power program. Her personal life is just as fulfilling, married to her kindergarten sweetheart, and a proud mother of 3 sons. Please join me in welcoming the accomplished Lieutenant Colonel Damaris Candelario Soto.
hello. Good evening, everybody.
Thank you. And to our viewers, thank you for joining us this evening. With us on screen, we have Ji Yun, the president of Tau Sigma, the military organization at Roseman University College of Dental Medicine, and a proud recipient of the Army HBSP Scholarship. Ji will be assisting me with the interviews tonight. A fun fact, she just took her board's exam yesterday. I'm pretty sure she aced it. My name is Andre Soto. I'm the president of the Student Professionalism and Ethics Association at Roseman University College of Dental Medicine, and I hold the Navy HBSP Scholarship. Together, we will be moderating tonight's discussion, alternating questions between our speakers if Dr. Devin does decide to join. Each doctor will have time to answer before the other provides their insights. If time allows at the end, we'll open the floor for questions for the audience. We are excited to facilitate this enriching and engaging conversation and hope you find it informative. And as a disclaimer, the views presented are those of the speakers or authors and do not necessarily represent the views of the Department of Defense or its components. Mom, thank you for coming. The main question that everybody always asks anybody in the military, why did you choose your branch?
Why did I choose my branch? Well, I'm going to give you a little, I have to make the story a little long. I have always been some sort of involved with the military. My stepmom was an Army recruiter, and as a recruiter, she recruited me in the Army. And that helped me put me through college. And my job in the Army was the combat medic. So that's what I did for 8 years, reserve, so it's part-time. So once I graduated from dental school, I didn't want to do anything with the military at all. But what happened was that moving forward, I, started working in private practice, no benefits. I was already 28 years old, married, and my husband had no benefits either. At the time, he left the police force, so he was just working odd jobs. So I said, you know what? I know how to march. Let me join the military. Honestly, that's exactly what I thought. I don't know why. I just thought that as a dentist, I was gonna be marching up and down, but that's what I did in the army. So I said, I know how to march. This will work. So I I I, I knew the army. Mission, a lot of deployments. And I was in a state and an age that I wanted to have children. So I knew that I was not going to be a good soldier because I was not going to be deep inside happy because my goal was, okay, I want to be a dentist, but I want to stay put because I want to have a family. So then when I checked the Navy, kind of like the same situation, they have rotations in a ship for months, I don't know, 3 or 6 months. And so to me, that didn't look too appealing either. So then I knock on the Air Force doors, and their mission is different. And they, when they deploy dentists, they actually deploy them. They kind of mix them with the army dentists, and they have a particular team that are trained to deploy. So these are dentists that's what they want to do. So I definitely just they were not gonna, coming from private practice, they just were, that was not in the radar for me. So that's what made me choose the Air Force. So their mission, and that I was going to do dentistry, stay put in a place, and I was able to just start a family. So that's what drive me to that.
Okay, my question is that it's pretty common to hear that the military is hard on families. Do you have any advice on families to families on how you can prepare for moving, different to different stations, different countries, or even deployment?
Um, I tell you what, the main the military is not for everybody, right? You have to kind of look inside what you want to get out of it, because it's a give and take, right? A lot of times you just give up, living close to your family, or you're gonna have to be separated for a certain period of time. So if you have a significant other, or you're married or have family, the whole nucleus have to be together. It's not just like, well, I'm going to do this and you guys follow. It has to be talked, a lot of love involved, because you're going to be put in situations where um, you probably won't be there. And even though I didn't deploy, when they gave me orders to go to Okinawa, Japan, I was 8 months pregnant with my second son. And I can tell you that I did everything possible not to go, but I knew deep inside I had to go. That's what I signed up for. And they took good care of me. They gave me options. They said either you stay here, have the baby, and then travel with a 4-year old, which is Andres, and then a baby, or we just do shorter trips, because from Texas to Okinawa was like about 24-hour flight. So they took care of me. I'll just go to Okinawa, and you just stop me in Hawaii, and then we'll move forward. So anyhow, for families, definitely it's a decision that has to be talked, that has to be everybody on board, and just agreed on. I had a great time. My husband loved it. My kids had a great time too. But I also saw families, other dentists, friends of mine, that were miserable because their, wives hated it, or husbands that were not happy. So definitely you can have a harder time in the
Mhm.
military if your other person doesn't agree.
And was your husband a part of the military too, or was he just a civilian?
Well, look, G, my husband was a police officer. He was in special forces in Puerto Rico. So when we married, I did a master's in public health. It seems like I was afraid of doing dentistry. So I kept adding a master here and something else in there, until finally I just said, okay, well, let me just join private practice. And that's what drove me to Georgia. And I took a decision and I worked in private practice for a good 5 or 6 years. But I always wanted to do endo. And to me, as a general dentist, it was quite hard because the model of general dentistry, it just didn't fit my personality. I like to talk, like you see that I keep talking, and I like to spend time with my patients. And the fact that as a general dentist, I had to have my patient plus evaluate two or three hygienists and treatment plans, it was just very different and very difficult for me. So I've always wanted to do endo, and that was another thing that I said, well, how can I do that? How can I expand my family? How can I don't want to pay for it.
Mhm.
So all those things were very positive on joining the military. I was still going to have a salary. They were going to pay for everything. I didn't get into endo right away, but I had the opportunity to apply to a specialty, so that was very appealing. But my husband he just worked on base. He was on board with it, so he quit the job that he was doing in Georgia, and our first duty station he found a job in family advocacy. He was a police officer, so he was just kind of talking. He was in the like families that are having problems and things like that. That's what he was just doing. So there's a lot of jobs on base for the spouses that want to work. There's plenty of jobs that they can do.
Okay, next question is how do you balance military life with your personal life?
How do I balance? Well, the good thing in the military, the hours are great. In our in my first duty station, we actually work 4 days, from 7 to 4. So, and then we have Fridays off. Then they changed the boss, and he said that doesn't look good because the medics or the physicians worked the 5 days. So we went back to 5. But the fact was that we started at 7, left at 4, had a 1 hour lunch. We saw 2 or 3 patients in the morning, 2 and 3 in the afternoon. Sometimes you didn't even see anybody in the afternoons because you had meetings. As a military dentist, you are not just a dentist. You are a soldier. You have other duties. With me, since I had a master's in public health, they have me with the public health department doing research on um, smoking, tobacco dipping, soda, because we sell all that stuff on base, right? So percentage of carries, and so a lot of odd things that they wanted me to do on top of that. Plus, my third job in the military was I was in charge of the dental assistant program. We have a program for civilians, which are for spouses, men or women, that they want to work. They're at home, right, on base where their military spouses are working. So we had this program where we train them on the at the dental clinic, and then they can go on if they're stationed in the U.S. They can just go and work off base. So things like that. So I had time, honestly, within those time hours. If you requested time, hey, I need more time for this, you could book your schedule to that. And then I always try to do things on the weekends, especially when we were in Okinawa. We were always, okay, let's check this out. We try to do things off base, maybe learn a little bit of Japanese. So there's plenty of time. It's really I just didn't feel like I was strain of time, like my career was taking a toll on my family. No.
Mhm. That's amazing. Um, I don't know. So, did you do your residency in the military then, or were you a general dentist in the military first and then you got your residency?
Correct, correct.
Okay.
The thing about the way I got into endo was when my first duty station, it was a shore force base in South Carolina, and we were a team of 14 dentists. Everybody hated endo. Nobody liked to do endo. And so here I come and I said, well, I don't mind. I never really just say I love it, but I said, well, I don't mind. So my boss said, well, since we hate it so much, why don't you just prepare a room for endo and we just refer to you? So I got drawn into that. Maybe being on the right place on the right time. I don't know. But the fact is that I did that for a year and a half. And then my boss says, well, why don't you apply for endo? And I'll put a good word for you because you already been doing our endo here. So, me coming from private practice, I kind of had an idea on how to schedule and all that stuff. So I applied, and it was 12 of us that applied for 3 positions. So that's another thing in the military, that the competition, if you really want to specialize, it is really good because the competition is less. So you're competing against people that because you know their resume, you know things that they have done, and if you haven't done extracurricular jobs, then you know that you have to beef up your resume for that. um one thing, you got to be not only a good leader but a good follower, and when you have that balance, it shows, and your bosses around can notice. So I got interviewed, and I got lucky that I got in the first time.
Mm.
So that was another appealing thing to me, that if I would have competing on the outside, which I did actually at the first time that I applied to several endo schools and I didn't get in. Very competitive. And I just only had the master's in public health, and they probably wanted some other things. So I was able to get in the Air Force, and it was great. I had a great time.
Okay, with that being said, what kind of procedures can you military dentists expect to do from your observation and your experience?
Well, when I got in, I initially got paired with a mentor. You have to go through credentialing. Um, Not because you're a dentist and have a license to be a dentist is that they're going to let you do everything. They are going to, once you're new, right, they're going to observe your restorations. They're going to observe if you're going to do an extraction, there's going to be someone there observing how you handle that. And then if everything goes good, then they send you to the credential department, and they'll sign off on that and say, okay, you can do this, but you cannot do perio surgery, for example. Like even as an endodontist, I did not have all the credentials open. I could only do endo. If I wanted to do extractions, I had to request to do that. So it's very systematic, regulated. There's policies. If you do not, if you are not good at something, they'll send you to train, or they pair you up with a senior, so they can train you and teach you and evaluate you. Um, I can tell you, there was a young dentist that got stationed in Okinawa with me, and he could do fillings great, crowns perfect, but the minute that he had to open a tooth for root canal, he was just that's it. He was just perfing right and left. It's just a perforation here, perforation there. So so it created some problems because some teeth had to be extracted. So they put him in my department, and I kept him in endo for about 3 months, just giving him cases and until we got him to a place that he, because those are things that you have to do. If you are in a place that there's no endodontist and you gotta do a root canal, then you got to learn that stuff. Um, so I think that that was really cool, versus in the civilian sector, unless you go to some training, but you don't have somebody overlooking what you're doing and caring and making sure that you are taken care of.
Dr. Devin,
Hello.
how
Oh,
are you?
I'm doing good, thank you. I have 6:30 on my schedule. Am I right on time or right a minute before we start?
Yeah,
Wonderful.
awesome.
How is the voice quality? Do I need to put in headphones, microphone for you guys?
great.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna make sure things are on do not disturb because I don't want anything to be pinging in during our call. Okay, perfect. Awesome.
Right. Dr. Devin, first of all, how are you? Thank you for joining us.
I'm doing good, thank you. Glad to be here, glad to be on time, glad to be in such great company, another female officer. So yes, it's great to be here. Corinne Devin, it's so nice to meet you. I've heard wonderful
Nice to
things
meet you.
about you.
Damaris Soto.
Yes.
Good.
So, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great privilege to introduce a distinguished officer in the United States Navy, a Triple Crown holding beauty queen, and a board certified orthodontist who exemplifies dynamic leadership across multiple arenas, from winning prestigious pageant titles to authoring the book Commander to Crown, which I have right here. Everybody go on Amazon.
Oh, wow.
Thank you.
She mentors and inspires with the message that one can excel from pageantry to orthodontics to military service. Her naval career includes deployments and assignments at major naval medical centers around the world. Her engaging and motivational talks have reached diverse audiences from educational institutions in Europe to professional dental associations across the United States. Her mantra, caring is contagious, has resonated across continents, inspiring countless individuals to pursue their dreams with dedication and confidence. Please join me in welcoming the accomplished Commander Corinne Devin. And Miss
Thank you so much.
Miss Devin, Dr. Devin, we had started a little bit earlier. We hadn't gotten too far into the questions, so
Okay.
we're just gonna backtrack as well. Um, I'm gonna say the disclaimer again. As a disclaimer, the views presented are those of the speakers or authors and do not necessarily represent the views of the Department of Defense or its components. Dr. Jevin, above me, I have G. She is the president of Tau Sigma, which is the military organization here at Roseman, and she's going to be helping me asking these questions today as well. Okay?
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, ma'am. The first question that we asked Dr. Soto that I imagine everybody asks you as well. Why did you join your branch? Why did you choose the Navy?
Well, if you told my 8-year-old self that when my dad left for Operation Desert Storm that I would do the same thing, I'd probably say you were crazy. But as fate would have it, I was in college. I got into dental school and I thought, how am I going to pay for it? And every professor that I met my first year in dental school that wasn't afraid of trying things outside the box, who wasn't afraid of taking a leap of faith, had all served in the military at some point in their career, whether it's before they became a dentist, as a dentist, enlisted officer. And when I did a clerkship, I was hooked. And I just really liked how the dental corps is laid back, but at the same time, it's a place to grow and learn. And for me, Navy felt like at home to me because that's what I was born and raised on military bases.
Awesome. And G, yeah, I think.
Yes. Hearing that you do pageants and everything, how do you balance your military life with your personal life?
I would tell you that we all go through seasons in our life where certain things take priority and you have certain times where it allows for it. I would tell you that before you do any extracurricular activities, you need to make sure you're crushing 3 things. 1, job performance, 2, having excellent communication with your chain of command, and 3, knowing instructions and guidance. Everything I do, even tonight's call, I ran by my public affairs officer and my hospital JAG. JAG stands for Judge Advocate General. It's the equivalent of a lawyer, of what we call in the military. And I learned very early on to be very familiar with those things because just in case someone becomes a little nosy Rosie and wants to ask questions, you've got it all in writing. Something unique that I do at this command that I'm currently at that I haven't done at previous commands is called an off-duty employment. It's basically people moonlighted, but the reason why we decided to do it here is because I'm moving up in rank. I'm a senior officer, and even though I don't get paid to do pageants, I do get what's called remuneration, meaning they pay for, I win a state competition, I go to nationals, they're paying for the flight, they're paying for wardrobe, they're paying for things that would cost money. How I balance that with my career, I will tell you, I didn't compete when I was on operational deployments. I didn't compete for 4 years. I got kind of burnt out. I didn't do it in residency. I did a pageant only to get women to be part of my research study, and that was with permission of my program directors. And I actually didn't do, I did one state pageant and I ran everything by my chain of command. So nothing was a surprise to them. That's how I've been able to juggle. I'll tell you, I kind of have taken a little break from pageantry and I may do it later this year. But one thing that I am being mindful of is that social media, the influence of social media and how it looks with me being a naval officer, I'm being very, very careful and cognizant of it because I'm seeing how different places it can be looked upon different ways. And I will also tell you overseas, it tends to be looked a little bit more favorably because we can use it as a tool to build host nation relationships. Where here in the States, there's a little bit more politics you have to keep in mind, and it also depends on where you're stationed.
Thank you. What are some challenges that you face in the military, not just, not just in the dental field, but just entirely?
Not having control of your life. I would tell you, I've gotten orders to leave the country as little as 2 weeks. That was challenging. It's not normal, but it's called a hot fill. So I would say my saving grace is I have a phenomenal network of people that have supported me through times like that, where I'm literally taking my car to Carmex to sell. The next day I'm getting on a plane and bouncing around. Same thing with my operational deployment. They kept telling us when we were going to go. It kept changing. And then finally we went, I think it took us like a full week to get over to Iraq. Something I always tell people is your net worth is based on your network. So when I deployed, before I deployed and raised my hand, I asked a ton of people things they can do. Was I still anxious? Was I still excited and nervous? All the feelings wrapped in one? Of course I was. But at least I was armed with that information to know to prepare for some of those things that came my way. I would definitely say probably some of the biggest challenges was being in Italy during the pandemic, not having supplies, not knowing who I could treat, and then getting pulled over every single day by the Carabinieri or the Polizia because I could be thrown in jail if I could not speak to them and telling why I was driving to the hospital, to the base.
Never even thought of that.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Soda, have you had a chance to answer that? I feel like that's a great question for you as well.
Well, I tell you what, my greatest challenge was September 11. I was actually active duty my first year of endo. I was our program was the first year was in the University of Texas Health Science Center in San Antonio, and we were just sitting in there watching TV until for the first class, and when everything came and we just looked, the three of us that were active duty, we just look at each other like, okay, like we gotta get a gas mask. We already knew that this was not an accident. So so that was a challenge to I was leaving off base. Andres was maybe 2 years old. Okay, I have a gas mask, but my kid and my husband don't. All these things that goes through your head. Okay, what's gonna happen with my residency? It was definitely dark times for everybody in the country, but especially for us that were in the uniform, which is a lot of uncertainty. So yeah. It's the times, right? The rest you deal with it, life with your family and stuff, but it's just the conflicts that present in our nation, right? That we just gonna have to be prepared. Period.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. Well, Dr. Soto, one of the questions that we had touched up a little bit earlier, but now that we have Dr. Devin to kick it off to the Navies as well, What kind of dentistry can new military dentists expect to do? We have a few professors at the school who went to the military as well. They say a lot of amalgam fillings, they say some extractions. What can we expect to do?
It really is going to depend on where you're stationed. So for all of the dental students on here, I highly, highly recommend doing either an AGD or GPR because it's going to get you exposed to almost every single specialty the military has to offer. If you do what's called a credentialing tour, where you don't go to one of those two programs, and GPR stands for General Practice Residency, it's hospital based versus Advanced Education General Dentistry, it's clinic based. You may not get exposed to certain specialties, such as Dr. Soto's and mine of endodontics and orthodontics. Here in San Diego, our residents get exposed to not just oral surgery, pediatrics, orthodontics, endodontics, oral facial pain, operative dentistry, comprehensive dentistry. They get exposed to literally every single specialty, which is a great springboard to see, like, hey, am I interested in pursuing that? And this could be a great mentor for me down the road and helping me decide where I go next. Or is it giving me a chance to realize, hey, this is an area I didn't get to do a lot of in dental school, and I can kind of take a deeper dive. Doesn't mean you have to specialize in it. Today I was in a TMD course for 4 hours learning techniques and stuff that really weren't taught in my dental school time, which I know I'm dating myself because I graduated in 2007, but it just goes to show you, dentistry is a lifelong profession, and I think any opportunity that you get a chance to experience that, I recommend. Now, is it true you do a lot of amalgams in the military and extractions and exams? 1000%. We still do that because guess what? They work, they stand the test of time. Also, on the flip side, you also get to do some things that you may not get to do. I remember at UNLV, I saw diseases and things that walk through the door, but that my professors tell me you're never going to see that again. And that's true in a very young, healthy population. I will tell you one thing that I see happening at my facility that I don't see is them literally taking someone's bone from their leg, their femur, and reconstructing their jaw. The fact that I have surgeons that are willing to do that, or doing surgery first, or seeing different ways of doing things. And you have to remember, the military is a melting pot where you get a chance to be exposed to people not just who went to your dental school, but who went to so many other dental schools in the country. And you get to come together. And rather than saying, oh, this is the way I learned it, it has to be this way, it's like, you know what, I've never tried it, you're right, let me see, it might actually be easier in my hands, or I might be able to find a way to mold it and make it my own. So I hope I'm answering your question. I know I'm going into a little deeper depth, but the military is what you make of it, and that's why I really, really strongly push people educating and doing that route so they don't get stuck on the amalgam line or the T2
Yeah,
exam line, as we call in the Navy.
right.
Correct, correct. If you have to be open mind to learn other things. And the good thing about it is that all the specialty, and like everybody is together. Like you pass this hallway and they're just um you know inserting an eyeball. It is just, and you're like, oh, that's cool. Let me just learn a little bit more about that. Or you have a case that you want an oral surgeon to be there observing you and helping you out. Um, ortho ortho comes, hey, endo, can we move this tooth? Will that nerve survive, or do you need to do the root canal first before? I miss that in private practice because I don't have another hallway that I can go running and ask, versus versus in the military, you just feel taken care of. You're like, okay, somebody has my back, and if that person doesn't know, somebody else will find the answer.
Yeah, because Dr. Soto, I know that you monthly, like you try to do as many courses as you can, even though that you've been doing dentistry for 20, 30 years, but you're still doing courses. You're still trying to, up your game. So yeah, that's something that I feel like a lot of dental students, they feel like, okay, once I get out of dental school, I'm just gonna cruise on by. But I think we have to keep doing courses and keep trying to strengthen ourselves. So yeah, that's very awesome to hear from you too as well, with how far you guys have come, that you guys are still doing courses. Um,
Absolutely, absolutely.
in military movies, Dr. Soto, you always see that when someone is given an order, you must follow those orders, or there will be like massive consequences. And we see it right now. It's like, you don't follow the order, you're gonna get kicked out of the military, you're gonna be dishonorably discharged. After talking to other military personnel, I've come to learn this isn't all true. What in the military is actually waivable?
Well, I'm gonna answer the best of my knowledge. There's lawful orders and unlawful orders. And those are things that you learn in officer training school and as a soldier, you know. Um, uh, so it's kind of tricky. It's not like what the movies portray, right, Dr. Devin? It's really it's not. And the fact is that I've always laughed and said, well, everything is waivable. Well, the thing is that we have policies and systems in place, but there's always going to present a situation that there's not a contingency plan for that. So your commanding officers, they have to meet, they have to sit down and say, in this particular situation, what will be the best course of action to resolve it, or the best solution. I can tell you from my point, um, my husband needed a surgery and we were stationed in Japan, and the hospital couldn't support his post-operative um, sequence. They said, yeah. And so I said, well, I'm willing to pay. I'm going to send him to the US. And they say, absolutely not, because we cannot guarantee that we're going to be supporting his health after he comes from the surgery. What happens? So all that had to be talked. And the chief of medical staff says, Damaris, no, this is what we're going to do. You are supposed to go to Europe after this tour, but we're going to waive that and we're going to reroute you to the United States so we can take care of your husband and he can have his surgery. So in my particular view, that it was a situation that there was not a policy written, right? But that the people in charge took a decision that was favorable for us. Granted, I wanted the surgery tomorrow. I had to wait a year and a half, but it was okay. Everything was okay and everything was handled properly. And they waived my going to Europe, and I had to come to the States. So, Dr. Devin, do you have any examples of things that even your fault, your commanding officers, or that you have taken against yourself or somebody else?
Yeah, I can give you guys a great example in residency. One thing I think that we all learn in life is when we need to be quiet and just sit and listen, because silence can be really powerful, and also when to interject. And that's not something you learn right away. That's something you learn with time. I recall a time during residency where I had an attendee come upstairs the following early in the morning, tell me I needed to come downstairs, get in my uniform, and get an attention in 5 minutes. And I stood there and I did, and I got down there and he ripped me apart. And I had no idea what I did. I had to kind of learn later what it was. And it was a misinterpretation. The day before, he thought I rolled my eyes at him, and I wasn't. I was rolling my eyes at my classmates that were just being jerks, just guys being guys. And he thought I did it to him. And because I didn't cry, because I was raised in a military family, my father, the OG Commander Devin, you would not cry in front of him. But I stood there at attention. I listened to what he had to say, and he thought I let it go through 1 year out the order. And it wasn't until a week later, where I let emotions cool down, that I was able to go to him and say, I thought about everything you said, and I explained to him, and what I learned how to communicate to him to let him know I was understanding where he's coming from, and how my nonverbal communication he thought was directed to him was not, and how there was like a crossfire. What I would tell you in the military is you're going to learn very quickly what's yes ma'am, no sir, yes sir. And that's not really time to question. That's a time to kind of take a step back, take some mental notes, know your instructions, know your guidance, know when to challenge things. It's always better to praise in public and criticize in private. Every leader, including myself, has made a mistake. We're not perfect, but I'm always grateful when people pull me aside, and simultaneously I know my leaders are grateful when I pull them aside. When I saw something, I'm like, ooh, that's kind of rubbing people the wrong way, because you never know what's kind of going on around them, what taskers are coming at them. Very often as leaders, we are asked to write the book as we are reading it.
Right.
And have I been given unlawful orders? 1000%. Have I probably given some? Probably, and didn't even realize it. I was really grateful when people pulled me aside and said, hey, listen, I know your heart's in the right place, but we need to rethink this scenario. And I was like, oh gosh, I never thought of it that way. And I think that's where it comes to that being that servant leadership. and knowing those things.
Totally agree. You nail it in there. That we're humans, and there's a lot of pressure, right? And um, if I tell you I have been dropped 1,000 times, I couldn't even when I joined the army with my accent. I didn't know if it was drill sergeant or grill sergeant, and I chose to call grill sergeant, and it didn't go well.
That is hilarious, but I
I
see
did
it.
not go. I can tell you that I got a six pack out of how many times they drove me.
Well, it's funny you say grill because you are a dentist, so I could see how like
It's like,
just
okay.
that is
So
hilarious.
yeah, so lessons learned, and you just keep on moving forward. The bottom line is, and I run my private practice like that, is I learned this in the military. Look at people in the eye and said, there's no drama. Let's communication, right? Let's just communicate and let's solve the situation. Maybe not at that point when things are heated, but later, like perfect example, like you gave Dr. Devin, then let's just you and I discuss it, and let's just kind of like iron the iron the cloud.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. And just to go to a little side question, Mom, I know you've told me all these stories growing up that you've had some grilling moments in the military. There was a story that you told me about the grenade story, where they drew the eyes on the helmet. Do you mind going over that a little bit just to tell the audience?
Well, in the army again, because I was a combat medic, I'm expected that not only I'm putting people back in place, right? But at the same time, I'm defending them. So, but I definitely, there's something that I cannot do is sports. I'm not good at any of them. I can dance, but I'm definitely not good at sports. So I did struggle with the exercises. I made it. But definitely throwing the grenade, you look at it on the movies like it's a little ball, but it's not. Those things are heavy. And we had to practice with live grenades. So the first time I threw it, pretty literally just kind of landed in like 5 feet close, and the poor sergeant that was with me said, "You're gonna kill us here." So, and I had to do it again. So they put this big eyeballs on my big helmet to just make sure, just watch for this one, because she doesn't have a good arm. So anyhow, I survived that. But they pushed me through. They just didn't give me. They said, "You're not doing it again." They made me do it again. So I live and learn, and those are lessons that I remember, and my kids laugh at it, but yeah.
Yeah, and Dr. Devin, I know in your book you talk a lot about how you love to work out, how you love to exercise. But you were talking also in training how you were having to keep up, and at some points you were trying to outperform some of the other men as well. Can you talk a little bit about training and how that was in the Navy?
Sure. So, for my first operational tour, I had to do what's called Field Medical Officer School Course. And our corpsmen, which are similar to Army medics, to Dr. Soto's point, so they go through a very famous version. And Marine Corps gear that's small is not small on me. So, like a lot of the elbow pads were actually also my knee pads. And I remember these Marines would just reach and grab a bar. And for me, it was like a leap of faith. I got so many concussions. I fell down. The gear that they had, if I stood up straight, I would fall back because it weighed way more than me. But I always had a smile on my face. I always tried. I always asked questions. I wouldn't get frustrated. And I think as providers and everyone on this call that's soon to be a doctor here soon, I would tell you that if you are able to kind of come from a place of, hey, I'm here, I want to grow, I want to learn, and I also want to have some fun along the way,
Right.
you would be surprised how willing people in the military will go to bat for you. Um, I could send you guys photos, and I can send it to Dr. Annie Soto of me covered up and down with mud. But there's one photo this sergeant took of me with literally barbed wire, and I could feel the mud going down my, the back of my cami, all the way through my butt. You know what I mean? Everything, because he just thought it was such a badass that I was actually able to do this, even though I was scared to death and didn't know what I was doing. And, but yeah, some of that training was definitely really hard to do. But one thing I learned before I joined the military is just having a good physical regimen, because that is really what's going to not only be a good stress reliever, but that's what's going to show that you're able to keep up with what you need to do. So, and the Marines are a department of the Navy. So with that, I needed to make sure I could run 3 miles under a certain amount of time, do so many pull-ups or hangs, so many push-ups, which I could always do. And that's something that we are tested physically every year on. Like mine's coming up here in April. The service branches have a little bit difference with each one. But I will tell you, I'm actually in better shape for my pageants than I am for any military physical test outside of operational with the Marines.
Look at that.
That's another
That's
reason to do
awesome.
the pageants, because I'm in better shape for
There
them.
you go.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Devin, both of you are specialists. Dr. Soto, you're an endodontist. Dr. Devin, you're an orthodontist. You both also did your residencies at Lackland Air Force Base in Texas. Dr. Soto, you did yours in 2002, and Dr. Devin, you did yours in 2012. How was residency? Was it challenging in terms of hours, workload? Did you get to do a lot?
Dr. Soto, shall you go first?
Um, well, let me tell you, it was challenging, but I somehow you just make it work. I had you, because I was already 35, I told my boss, I think I need to just plan for a second child. And he said, you're in the middle of the residency. And I said, well, let's see. So I happened to get pregnant in my residency. So it was tough, but I pulled through a lot of research. Residency, and maybe Dr. Devin did correct me, is you're already a dentist, so you have to read a lot, but you have a little bit more freedom on your treatment plans and what you're tackling to. Um, so to me, it was actually easier than dental school. What do you think, Dr. Dan?
Um, I felt like I was drinking out of a fire hose, to be honest, for 2 years. Compared to the UTSA residents that were a 3-year program, we were a 2-year program. So they had there was 30 residents or 20 residents and 4 full-time faculty. There was 10 of us and 6 full-time faculty. So the student ratio was 1 to 2, which meant they were on us like a hawk. I mean, it was long hours. I somehow convinced them to do my research, my master's degree with pageant women. It's looking at classical facial silhouettes, lateral profile pictures, and 3-dimensional images. And fingers crossed, knock on wood, it's going to get published this year. We're in the final editing stages. Yeah. I love being called captain as a Navy lieutenant, so that was a highlight for me in residency because that's equivalent to an 06. But I would say, some weeks were more doable than others. One thing that I would tell anyone here is I struggled with test anxiety in dental school, in college, and even in residency. So one thing that I did, and this kind of stuck with me from residency, is I would get to school an hour early before everyone got there, starting in January of 2012 before I graduated. And that would be an hour I put towards my written boards. And I did that the first thing in the morning before everyone got in, before my day got hijacked doing what. And if I got more time in the day to stay for boards, it was bonus. But I knew with me taking my written exam in April that by the time April came around, I already have 100 hours that I put in towards my boards. And so what I would tell you, what I learned in residency is time management. I learned the value of eating good food. I used to eat tons of licorice and popcorn, and I know that's really fun. That's not going to get you through the days. That's when I learned meal prepping and just really starting to set boundaries. It's tough when you're in residency. I didn't have a family. I'm not fortunate to have one yet, but it's just you have to pick and choose what is really more important and prioritizing, even more so than dental school. I would say it feels closer to your last half of dental school than where your first half, to give you a comparison.
Exactly. Yeah. Time management is the key. Time management is the key. You're gonna have all sorts of things with endo. I can't, because you did ortho at Lackland. Those guys were running everywhere. My program was a 2 years. Didn't take a master's, and our research was very minimal. So on that part, my program was not big in research. And my second year was just seeing patients, 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, and then read research. So not that I'm saying it was easier, but I can see Dr. Devin was pretty everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, my next question. There is always a fear about deployment. I know HPSP scholarship holders understand the risk of deployment when they sign on the dotted line. It can be very fearful, not only for families, but also the scholarship holders themselves. I know I get scared at times thinking about it. I know my wife does as well. Interestingly enough, Dr. Devin, you asked to go on deployment.
Mhm.
Tell me more about your experience being deployed.
Yes.
So I would tell you that sometimes the things that we're most scared of tends to be the biggest blessings in our life. And as a dentist, you have one of the safest jobs in the military to deploy.
Mhm.
And again, if anyone ever wants to talk to me after this call, one on one, feel free to share out my contact information. I'm more than happy to. So, um, it was 2009. I saw a lot of people going, and rather than being told to go, I thought, you know what, I'm going to take control and raise my hand when to go. And for the Navy, we can either go on a ship or if we can go with the Marines. Now, with my friends who are on a ship, you're kind of going in and out, doing your workups, and then you're gone. And I thought, I grew up on Marine Corps bases. I have never met a group of men or women who would catch my bullets for me without a question. So I decided to deploy with them. Yes, it's a little bit more dangerous. The fact I was boots on the ground in Iraq and it was an uncharted minefield, and you just had to keep that in mind. But it was probably one of the greatest things in my career. And I will tell you, the the friendships you will build, the things that you will learn. I did a root canal with a paper clip. I
What?
mean, yeah, and I used fishing string to save a Marine Corps front tooth. And you know what his front tooth did? It saved his life. It took a bullet. I mean, the things that I saw were
Mhm.
just incredible. I can't really show you guys right now because I'm wearing a sweater, but I have a scar from an AK-47 on my right shoulder that I wear proudly. That gives me street credit. So if you asked me myself, like, would you do it over again? 1000%. Now, working up to that deployment and getting ready to go was way more scarier than actually being deployed and coming back from deployment. So I would tell you go, go, go. Because after I got back, I then went on a ship, which is called, I did a Tiger cruise, which I enjoy my friends thinking of their deployment in Hawaii, where some people get off, other people get on, family, friends. That's why they call us Tigers, that are healthy enough and able to walk on the ship. And I was dying because they had a toilet flush and real silverware, and I didn't have that. But they were on a floating high school, so they each have their pros and cons. So I would tell everyone to lean in as an opportunity. Deployments don't always have to be scary things. On Japan, I begged my boss to do what was called Operation Cobra Gold. They get to go to Vietnam and Cambodia, and they're part of archaeological digs. You get to go Indiana Jones and get paid as a dentist to go be Indiana Jones with people. My cousin, she, you know what she does? She gets to fly helicopters with celebrities from movies and went to do this in Hawaii. I mean, that was her operational deployment. So it doesn't have to be this big, scary thing. With that being said, are things getting scary in our world in certain places? Absolutely. Are we known as being the world's military super police? Yes, we are.
Yes.
But as a dentist, you have one of the most safest jobs that you can in the military. And if
Mhm.
you look at our history of how many fallen dental officers we have, it's not that many.
Mhm.
It really, really
Really
isn't.
not.
Yeah. And so um, I'm not saying you have to go out there and be Superman by any means. I'm not Joan of Arc, but I would actually look at it as an opportunity to go do some of the greatest things in your life you may not ever have the opportunity to do again.
Wow.
Right.
Dr. Soto, we might have to do some research about the paperclip method for endo, because
I tell you.
never heard that
I
before.
tell you.
I'm not an endodontist. I haven't done a root canal in 10 years, ma'am. So it's been over 10 years since I
You
graduated from
listen,
residency.
you are resourceful, and that's the thing that we learn in the military. Like today, a root canal turned into an extraction, and I'm like, oh my gosh! And my assistant was like, well, if I'm alone in the jungle, I'd rather be lost with you because we made it work with what we had. I don't do extractions, but somehow I had to pull this molar, so we did it. So and so those are the things that looking back, that I had to do in the military. It's like I call it jungle dentistry, and just a joke, but really, you just learn how to make it. You gotta get to point A, from point A to B, and you're gonna make it no matter what. So I didn't have the pleasure to deploy. Um, the Air Force doesn't. Have you seen some of the Air Force dentists deployed with you? Because I don't think we had a big participation on
So when I,
deployment.
yeah, when I was in Iraq, it was predominantly Marine Corps,
Hmm.
Army. I had some Air Force, but it was very, very minute. And then my other tours overseas, Air Force was not necessarily a huge component because the C-130s, which are cargo airplanes, were mainly flew by Marine Corps pilots or some
All
Navy.
right.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Yeah.
but
So
you guys still they do their part in other ways. So I mean, I would just tell you each branch has its own culture, and I'm not sure of everyone on this call if people are Army, Air Force, or Navy. Obviously, if you're one branch or another, I always tell people to talk to that branch in particular to get more of the real time what life is like in that community.
correct.
Right? And Dr. Soto, like you were saying earlier, although you were not deployed anywhere, you were stationed in Okinawa, Japan. How was that experience?
That experience was it was really good. Being myself from an island, it was another island just farther away. So we liked it. My two my two younger kids were born in Okinawa, and I was busy. I was very busy because the Navy had one endodontist, and the Navy, and there were 7 Marine camps. So that poor guy was super busy. Then I was in charge of the Air Force base in Okinawa is very large, and I was in charge of the Air Force, and there was an Army base or post too. So I got all those referrals, and overseas you not only see active duties, you see the dependents too. So and with so many kids around, it seems like I work every weekend trying to put a tooth that got a ball somewhere or somebody got kicked and something. So definitely was 3 years of a great experience, but a lot of experience, busy, busy, busy from everything. So I think that I my form and my strength as an endodontist was that tour, which I really appreciated because I just learned so much.
Hmm. And Dr. Soto, what is the most rewarding aspect of being a military dentist?
The bonds that you create with your colleagues, your friends, your people that you work with, like Dr. Devin said, those Marines, I tell you, is I love to to drive on the Marine base because they the our cars are labeled with like a color label, and they can tell from a mile if there's an officer coming, and they just stand up and salute. It's just a whole experience, and I really miss that. It's not civilian practice is it's not that the grass is greener on the other side. It's just a different. It's just different. But I still have ties with my military friends, but it's not the same as when I was active duty.
Dr. Devin?
I don't think I could add any more than the camaraderie is huge. The friendships I made, the people who've helped me. The only other community I've come across similar to the military is Junior League that I'm heavily involved with. They have chapters all over the US and in the world. And to meet a group of people who barely even know you, help you find a place to live, which I also have in pageantry. Pageant women were the ones that helped me find a place to live in Texas because there's not a lot of water in Texas. Um, just to have that people that will send you care packages, look out for you, who barely even know you, there's something to be said by that, and you just can't put a price tag on it. And it's something I know eventually I will miss because you have this built-in network wherever you move, and when you leave the military, you don't always have that community right away waiting for you.
Correct. Absolutely. It's just I receive help from people that I didn't even know, that they just stopped by and said, I see that you're overwhelmed. 3 small children, here is a casserole. And I'm like, oh my God. So things like that. It's just people are watching, and they just they know, they care. It's a total different sentiment. It's different to explain. I now see a lot of veterans, and I absolutely love seeing them because they have their stories and I can relate and it's you got to go through the process and then you'll understand it's incomparable.
Is everyone in this call, Andy, an HPSP scholarship recipient?
So G is she has the Army HPSP. I have the Navy. I don't believe anybody else on here is no ma'am. No ma'am. My youngest brother, he's trying to get into dental school. He's gonna be applying in about a year and a half. I know my mom's been pressuring like the HPSP for the Air Force. I've been telling him the HPSP for the
No,
Navy. So either way goes well.
any Army, Air Force,
So
anything.
just to put out some stats, so I've been on 2 calls with some admirals and some people with Defense Health Agency just to paint some pictures. So I know for the Navy on average we have around 300 to 350 applicants, and we only give about 85 scholarships. So if there's one piece of advice I tell people, apply to all and get your
Right.
application in early and really look for strong letters of recommendation. I had a Navy captain who wrote one of my letters of recommendation that had a strong reputation in my Navy Dental Corps community. I didn't appreciate it at the time. I didn't understand it until many years later. And I would tell you, things like that matter. People's reputation could be the difference of you versus someone else. Because I also sit on the professional review board that selects people for the HPSP, HBCP, and the different tiers. So again, not to go too much on a tangent, but I just kind of want to offer that to anyone who has any questions. I can be a source of information there.
And that, thank you for sharing that because really I have been out of the military for a long time, but having people like you inside and knowing firsthand, what because it's stressful when you have 350 applicants and you really want them all to get it, but you got to kind of sort things out. It's important that you know what they're looking for, um, what to prepare you better for those positions.
The biggest thing that I'm seeing people do, and again, I don't mean to knock Gen Z, and I'm an older millennial because I'm on the edge of, I think, millennial or Gen X, depending on what you read. I'm seeing people come late. They don't look professional. Their stuff is mismatched. Um, it's always impressive to me when I can tell someone is looking like they're interviewing for a Fortune 500 company versus someone who looks like they're interviewing for Abercrombie and Fitch. And I know that sounds really silly to say, but believe it or not, I've seen someone, and I try to give people a heads up, like, hey, I look forward to our video, our FaceTime interview. Make sure to dress to impress. Even though I feel like it goes without saying, because literally both my colleague, I'm one of 18 in the Navy, she's one of 13 in the Navy. We are shocked we've had people come in sweatpants.
Oh
To,
Oh,
no.
what?
Oh Lord.
yes.
Please.
I mean, they thought Biore was perfectly appropriate. And I mean, that is one of
I
the areas we
mean,
do rate people. Having a great story, knowing how to articulate. Most people realize that in the first 30 seconds is when you make the biggest first impression on it. And
right.
I try to be forgiving, but I can't say if all my colleagues are quite the same.
Mm.
Exactly.
So just
Yes.
a few tidbits to throw out there for anyone who's applying. Again, I'm happy to give you my name. Feel free, Andy, to give them my name, my information. I'm happy to speak to anyone. But those are definitely some of the things that I've seen make people get off the list. What I've seen people help them do very well. It's good grades. Yes, that does help. But in writing a great essay, knowing your whys, knowing what you want to do, understanding the challenges, um, that is huge. That is definitely huge. And having a story, something about you makes you unique. I want to know why I should pick you and then not the next 20 people I'm interviewing today.
Right.
If you can answer that question, chef's kiss. You'll be ahead.
That's powerful. There you go.
That's also what I've learned in pageantry, but I tell that's very, very true in the military. And that skill will help you throughout your military career because you will sit in front of boards. And as dentists, yes, you will go in front of COs, XOs, squadron commanders. I don't know what the Army equivalent is, and explain why you need to do this treatment for your patient. And when they say you've got 10 minutes and you tell them you only need one with the utmost confidence, you just leverage the ability to treat your patients the way you want to.
Right. All right. And you got to keep in mind that, granted, when I went to dental school, inexpensive. I think my whole 4 years was, you ready for this? $28,000, 4 years.
Wow.
And I live on that money. So it's not the same right now. So when you're asking for a scholarship that is close to $500,000, you better have your stuff ready because it's not easy. You better know, like she said, your why and have a powerful story. Uh, because listen, it's literally they're gonna take care of you, and trust me, dental school is not cheap and it's hard to pay those loans back. So, so just don't lose the opportunity when you are giving the opportunity and the chance to be like in front of Dr. Devin. Please, just be prepared.
Uh,
Not just kind of wake up and shake your head and then let me just go in there and see what happens.
Right. Right.
what other
I
questions can we answer for you, Andy? I didn't mean to hijack the
No,
interview.
no, no, please, as much as you can, really, as
Yeah.
much as you can. I know from that experience alone, you saying that, my mom's always prepared me for dressing well whenever I'm having interviews or whenever I'm going out with people that, are highly respectable. So she prepared me for MEPS when I got when I was like applying for the Navy, right? So she was telling me, you got to get there. It's at 5 in the morning. You need to be there at 4:30. You need to be out of the car and standing in front of the building at 4:30 in the morning. You need to be dressed in a dress shirt, dress pants, belt. I didn't know what MEPS is, so I'm like, hey, she knows what she's doing, so I'm just gonna go like that.
Did they make,
When
did
like,
your mom didn't have you shave?
yeah, oh shit, she
Oh
had me
yeah.
shaved. Yeah, yeah. I had
Okay.
hair back then as well, so it looked nice. It looked nice. So it's like if
You
you could
shave
flip
everything,
this up
all
here,
hair out.
yeah.
Okay.
So I shaved, everything was good to go. I was the only person with a dress shirt there. I think everybody showed up in sweats. And this is back in Georgia. Everybody showed up in sweats. Nobody looked like they cared. I was the only one dressed well there. And you could see that instantly the officers there or the people that were running maps gave me a little bit more respect just because I showed up,
Yeah.
dressing the part.
Yeah.
And it was just a lot of other things. They would, I don't know what was going on. They would ask some people to do some tests, and they would roll their eyes and say, oh, I don't really. And I always thought to myself, why are you applying? Why are you going into the military with this attitude? That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, you drove here to stand outside of the freezing cold at 5 in the morning to then just roll your eyes and, act disrespectful towards the men and women that are defending this country. So again, that's what you're saying right there is absolutely perfect. You want to always, like my mom said, you want to always be presentable, especially in the military. G, do you have anything? Because I know you were saying that you were in the Army before you got into dental school. How was that as well?
What everything they're saying, it's really true. I think, you know, people really, if you wear the uniform, people already look up to you. So I feel like you need to do the part, behind closed doors or anywhere. Everyone's always watching you, and you really need to, just do your part. It's not just a uniform you're putting on. It's you're embodying this entire, all the Army values, everything. So, yeah.
Self-pride. Just yes. Just wear your uniform with pride.
Yes.
Because
Yes, ma'am. Dr. Devin, I know there's a question for me specifically that I have.
Sure.
I don't, so when we finish dental school, I plan on doing a 1 year AGD. G, do you plan on doing a 1 year AGD as well?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I did a 1 year
Okay.
AGD. I did mine through San Diego. Yeah, so you can do
Nice.
it in either AGD or GPR.
Okay, sweet. I know then after that, I've heard that you get to choose where you want to get stationed afterwards. Um, how does that work? I heard that you list your 10 and they pick 10. I heard that. How does that work?
So, when you say you get to choose, I would add be flexible with that word choice. Your mom's shaking her head. I can already see it without even looking inside the camera. Usually after you do an AGD or GPR, you're looking at three options: overseas, Marine Corps, or a ship.
Hmm.
And I would be very cognizant to know which of those. Now, you could go on a ship out of Norfolk, Virginia, a ship out of Washington State, a ship out of Japan. So the ship could be anywhere. Same thing with overseas. Usually, I would say prepare for Japan. Sometimes Europe is available, but usually Europe is considered kind of reward. And then the Marines, it really could be 29 Palms, Camp Pendleton, Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. The thing that I would tell you is during your residency, get an idea of what kind of operational tour, what does that look like to you? Green side is with the Marines, blue side is on a ship. Again, I just gravitated towards the Marines. It was what I knew. I liked their tempo of how they did things. So that is, I say choice in the sense of what's available. Now, the detailers in the Navy, and I apologize, I don't know the Army or Air Force term, if it's the same or something different. We have certain things that have to be filled. Ships have to be filled. Operational bills have to be filled. Those come before overseas that are not attached to a ship or Marines. So right now with our orders being cut, those are things that get filled first, and then the rest of the things trickle down because those have to be filled. Doing the AGD or GPR is going to give you an idea if you want to specialize. It gives you an idea to get to experience in other areas, maybe kind of get more calibrated, but then it also will equip you with what you need going to one of those 3 areas. Those are your choices. Not necessarily I get to throw a dart in the world, because you may have 10 choices and those 10 may not even be on the list available. Just to put that there. Yeah.
Dr. Soto, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I never really, there were places that I wanted to go, but it really didn't matter as long as as I had my family. And when I did endo, my contract was we pay for 2 years and you pay us back 2 years. But the orders came to Okinawa, Japan. Yeah, I could do 2 years without my husband and kid. So I signed up an extra year. So that was a trade-off for going overseas and being able to take my family. So contracts are negotiable, but in the military it's more to what they need than you don't have a lot of power to negotiate. So some of my dentists that I knew that said, well, I want to come back to Japan because their wives were Japanese or so. So they took they call it deployment, but really a year in Korea, and then was just close to Japan, and then they did that year there, and then came back again to Japan. So things like that you can negotiate, but not as an entry level. You really have to have more seniority and more rank in order to be able to get into that position. So just be open-minded. Just sometimes the best thing is like, wherever you send me, I'll be fine. And
yeah. One other thing to keep in mind. So 2 things I want to make sure you guys all know is join USAA. If you're already not a member of USAA, they're great. They'll give you a great first starter loan. The day that you guys graduate or the day after, go re-raise your right hand, because that will restart that date you're swearing in office is really going to be the start of your military career. So mine was May 11th, 2007, and that date plays in the fact for when my pay goes up.
So, yeah, that's a great tip.
Like that is, so I had that date, and then I had another date in June because I did my officer training for the Navy halfway through dental school. I didn't have to do it after graduation because I wanted some time to travel and do some things before I came in the Navy. So those are a couple hacks I just want to throw out there. The other thing I will tell you is what's helped me be successful in my career and advancing promotions is I took the jobs in places that no one wanted, and I did them well. And I also try to do things that were close to the flagpole. Now, as an orthodontist, I haven't been always able to do that, but I've raised my hands for things that no one wanted to do, and it's really helped me promote. So, would it be great to be in San Diego my whole career? Absolutely. This is my 3rd time being here, but doing that hot fill to Italy got me commander. Doing a couple other things helped me get selected for the next rank. So I'm just putting that out there to sometimes you have to, if you want something different, you have to do something different. And those were things that even today I had a call with someone from Bureau of Navy Medicine that's looking at things for me to even move up higher in the ranks if I want to. Those are the things that I hear constantly over and over in my career. And I want to make sure everyone in this call knows it, because you all are going to be very green, very new to the Army, the Navy, possibly Air Force. And this is what's going to really help you stand apart from the rest.
Correct.
And we were talking earlier about you going to ODS and the training as well at ODS. What do you learn while you're at the ODS? So it's like, what education exactly? I know that you're learning a little bit of rank, not a little bit of rank, but rank. What else are you learning as well?
You learn how to deal with the mind games of your senior enlisted.
Yes.
So literally, they would tear apart our beds. We would be staring at a wall 3, 4 a.m. in the morning, burning our and not letting it shake us. Um, gosh, how to go through a gas chamber, how to put out. We have a thing in Newport, Rhode Island called the USS. It's called the Buttercup. It's where they
Mhm.
actually fill a ship in a floating pool with water. They turn off the lights and they turn the ship halfway over, and you got to figure out how to do it. That that was definitely
An
challenging.
officer training school, you did that?
That was, yeah, officer development school or officer. It was called officer indoctrination school, but now it's called officer development school. It's called the Buttercup. If you guys Google it, you'll see it.
Mm.
I could send you guys photos of it. So I would say, learning how to be a really good swimmer. I'm not a strong swimmer, but that's the Navy for you. And also, understanding that this is just a period to show you how resilient you are. It's an ability to test your resiliency and your strength and how to come together when you feel like you're at your wits end. We all know what it's like to be sleep deprived. Shoot, we're all dentists. We all go to dental. You
Mhm.
guys are in dental school. Your mom and I's done residency. We've dealt with that. We all know what it's like when we're hungry. We haven't had a good day and things are adding up, and it's finding ways to find strength and grace in what we do and learn how to get through it, and knowing that you're not alone and that you have an army or a navy to catch you along the way.
I'm looking forward towards the Buttercup. I have not found that on Reddit or anything. So that's awesome. G, actually, I wanted to ask you as well. You went through basic training, right?
Yes. Mhm.
How was that?
It like Dr. Devin saying, it's really testing your resiliency. Their motto is to break you down to build you back up.
Mhm.
That's literally the entire training. So you just kind of have to get used to the suck and learn how to use that to your benefit pretty much. But again, with anything in the military, I think you get so close to the people with you. You guys go through the same suck together. You guys go through the great highs together. So that will always be there. But overall, I wouldn't do it again, but I loved it when I
Yeah.
look back at
It's
the
not summer
experience.
camp.
Yeah. I think that going into basic training, the thing I was the most fearful of from hearing stories was a gas chamber. But I don't know if there's something in my genes. I was immune to it. It didn't affect me at all.
Oh my goodness. Oh.
Yeah. Other people were crying, like snot coming out, wiping on each other's back. But I walked out. I was like, did something go wrong? Did I not do something right? But I didn't cry, anything.
Oh, no.
But it's a good experience. Yeah.
Yeah, and just to say, G holds that same stone-faced resilience in the clinic. I'm not gonna lie to you. I have seen her from time to time in the clinic, and nothing phases her. Like literally anything could happen and nothing phases her. She's on a mission and she's gonna get there and she's gonna do what she has to do, and then that's it. So
Correct.
even if something goes absolutely wrong, like it doesn't phase her. And that's something now hearing from her that basic training, built her to, build her. So Dr. Soto, as well. I mean, you went through basic training as well when you went into the Army first. How was that? And you did it back when, they made
Yeah,
movies about basic training.
I did mine. I'm 56 years old. I did mine in 1987 with an infantry unit that has never trained women. So that was that. Yeah, again, my grill sergeant was not happy with me. And I went into a body system because it was my best friend Elaine, she's Cuban, and then myself. Between the both of us, we could know enough English to go by. So that's why they put us together. And her last name was Diaz, and they were always dropping her Diaz, like ASS instead of her last name. But we look back and we just laugh at it, but we just did what we had to do. And you're right, G. They break you apart then to pull you up. And it's just fascinating how the whole mind works. And when you think that you just can't do it anymore, then you start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. So yeah, I don't want to do it again, but officer training school was better in the Air Force. I don't know why they did it that way, but the exercises was on an honor system, which to me was kind of weird because coming from the army to go to an honor system running and you just put it on a piece of paper. So that was kind of interesting, but we did had a lot of book work, a lot of work, learning about the um, laws and policies and leadership and all that. It just felt like a lot of studying, a lot of tests, and more so than the physical. Um, and that was about 2 months or 2.5 months. So that was my experience with the Air Force Officer Training School. Very, very different than boot camp.
Awesome. Wow, I'm looking forward to it. I'm very looking forward to it. Dr. Devin, my last question, I'm going to kick it off to you. Um, Many dental students wonder if the amount of time repaying back the 4 years is worth it when they could be spending that time working in private practice. I know we have G and I know we have a lot of questions being HBSP holders. If it's worth it, why go into the military for 4 years when you can just work in private practice and you can just pay back your loans that way? I always say you never know when you're going to pay off your loans. That's the reality of it. I mean, in 4 years, you never know, here comes the car, here comes the house, here comes kids. But for a fact, we're going to get our loans paid off in 4 years. So that's why I always say this can sometimes create doubt in those with military scholarship and wondering if they made the right decision. What advice can you give to a student fresh out of dental school getting ready for active duty?
Get ready for the biggest adventure of your life. Carpe diem, Vina Vita Vici. I came, I saw, I conquered. What's beautiful about joining the military is that you get paid as an officer day one. You're not waiting for your dental licensing board to go in effect. I watched friends graduating from dental school that waited 7 or 8 months for their dental license to go in effect. You're getting paid day one.
Mhm.
And I don't know anyone from my dental school that paid off their loans in 4 years unless their parents were independently wealthy, which I didn't know any of them that had that luxury. Maybe one person I knew that had it, but honestly, no one paid them off in 4 years. So not only are you going, if you do your 4 years and get out, are you going to have your loans paid off, but you're going to look very attractive to any banks, any creditors, any practice because you actually have the bandwidth to take on loans, to buy a practice, to buy a house, to do all the things you want to do without having the student loans because you cannot claim bankruptcy on student loans. I don't know if people realize with federal student loans. So I would say, you know, the things with that you don't have to worry about. You don't have to worry about malpractice insurance. You don't have to worry about disability, liability. You get to come in and treat a group of men and women who unselfishly sacrifice themselves for the freedoms that we get to enjoy. And they are the most grateful, indebted patients. So very often in dental school, I remembered, and again, I'm not as familiar with your dental school, even though you guys stole many of my UNLV faculty, as I've learned. But I just remembered many of my patients couldn't afford dentistry. They were paying a fraction of it. And, they all walked from different walks of life and night. So I'll just leave it at that. But they were very grateful. They were very indebted for what we do. In the military, it's no different. I couldn't believe that in my first 3 weeks in the military, I was seeing patients who never got 3 square meals a day, who never got health care because their parents couldn't afford it. And to see a dentist, I was their first dentist they ever got to see in their life. To have that kind of impact so early in your career, to me, is pivotal on how you become as a dentist and how you grow as a professional for the rest of your life. So to me, in private practice, you may not have the luxury unless maybe you're doing Indian Public Health Service or maybe you're working in a place that's rural. But I don't know too many of my colleagues that I can say maybe on one outside of one hand that have had that experience since I graduated from dental school.
Yes, ma'am. Dr. Soto, do you have anything to add to that?
I totally agree. You guys, if outside, look at the housing market. Look at the housing market. So I recently had an associate that he owed $700,000 in student loans. I look at him and I said, how is that possible? That's just like it is to me it's insane. And he didn't stay in the practice because I don't work a mass production endo, but that's what he needed to do in order to pay his bill. And then he had a wife and a kid, and now he needed to buy a house. So that's the beauty of having the scholarship. And if you don't have the scholarship, I don't know if, and Dr. Devin correct me, at least when I was active duty, I didn't have the scholarship, but there was a plan that if you wanted to take the loan repayment program, for years of service, some of my colleagues got their loans paid with that program. I didn't know that much, so I paid mine off with a bonus that I got. But I have several friends that had 150 or 80,000, and they just took the loan repayment program, a year of payment for a year back pay, so or a year of employment. Trust me, it's worth it. And honestly, I carry medical insurance from the military right now in my private practice. I carry my own because I'm retired. That's what I'm carrying because as a self-employed, my medical insurance for me was going to be $2,800 to cover my 4 family members because now Andres has his own that. So even myself, it is it's it there's a lot out there. So the benefits are great.
And that's all the questions that we had. G, if you have any other questions that came to your mind during the interview, please ask. You know way more. You've been through a lot more than I have. So if there's anything that you want to bring up or ask, please do.
I do have a question. So just going off of what you guys were talking about, what has made you guys want to continue working in the military? I know a lot of people have questions about, like the pay is much better in the outside world, especially if you do a residency. What keeps you guys motivated to stay in the military versus just, doing your time and just leaving right after?
Would you like to go first, Dr. Soto?
Yes, the pay is not bad at all. Pay is really to me it was fine. It's not all about money. I was just I wanted to have a balanced life, right? So to me the pay was fine. And even when I got out of active duty in 2007 and I stayed 9 years as a reservist. And I didn't say, so I ended up putting 22 years and I would have put 30, 40 if they let me. But in my last PT test or physical test, I injured my shoulder. I have a rotator cuff that I have a tear. So I did get a little concerned because I'm in private practice and I need to work. So when I went to personnel, they said, well, you can retire. You have 22 years total. And that's when I signed my papers and retired. But I would have stayed if I could have physically, if I could do that. So again, the grass is not greener. Yeah, do I make a little bit more now? But I do work. We'll see. It's 10:30 and I'm still in my scrub. So it's a total different ball game out there.
I would elaborate. There is a lot of benefits we get in the military you don't get in
Mhm.
private practice. So, for example, my state of residency is Nevada, but I get to live in San Diego and not pay California taxes. My
Mm.
friends who live here pay a full year of their income every 4 years on California taxes alone. So we are in a lower. So even though I don't make as much, I'm in a lower income tax bracket, and a lot of our pays are basic housing allowance and basic allowance of substance, which is a good portion of our pay.
Mhm.
I would tell you that's probably close to about $4,000 to $5,000 a month, depending on where you are. That's not taxed. That's not taxed at all. I'm not paying for malpractice insurance. I'm not paying for medical. I'm not paying for liability. I'm not paying for, there's a few other things I'm not paying for. And so if you look at some of those and then the pension, we just actually had a presentation on our admirals call that an '05 at 20 years, with the blended retirement system, not the legacy. I'm under the legacy blended retirement system, is about $2 million in pension that you get.
Mhm.
So I would tell you, you don't necessarily, you may make more in private practice, but you have to pay more. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I would tell anyone who is looking to get out. So I was a career development program board manager. As I said, listen, I was looking to get out in San Diego as an '04. I didn't have a retention bonus yet from the military. And for me to make the exact same salary I was making in the Navy to live in California, I had to make 50,000 more a year because of what I would have to pay in taxes. And I was I was getting kind of a tax umbrella. So it's not always that much more money. And I like having a balance. I like having my days in. I like the fact I get paid vacation.
Right.
Um, so I like the fact I get to live in Europe. I mean, I've been to as many countries, if not more, than most of my orthodontic colleagues. What they will have to close their practice for 2 weeks, I got to go do for the weekend.
Correct. Correct. And on top of that, the
Yeah.
VA benefits, which I really, now I'm a veteran, and so I go to the VA hospital, and they review your medical history, and the VA benefits alone. Some of those veterans that are 100% disability, and again, sometimes that's a word that, not because you see that person walking and it looks good. It could be a PTSD disability, but the benefits are tremendous too. They have another pension on top of that. Their kids can go to college for free. There's some other things that, as a veteran, it opens another door of opportunities too.
So if anyone really wants to compare, I mean, I did get that presentation. I can go through the numbers and I'm happy to share things with, but
That's awesome.
yeah,
Mhm.
what we make is public knowledge. So if you go to militarypay.gov, what you may not see on there is all the special pays we get as dentists. And then
Mhm.
obviously you can look up the housing allowance. So I would tell you, like in San Diego, I get 4,600 a month plus another, so it's like almost $5,000 a month. That's tax free. Just put in my paycheck just to take care of my housing allowance. Yes, a 1 bedroom, 1 bath in San Diego can go for $4,000, but a month. But that is San Diego. But I'm just telling you, like, that's also whatever I don't use, I get to keep. So
Exactly.
yeah. Any
Thank
other
you.
questions you guys have? I realize that it's much later for you. I didn't realize, Dr. Sodi, you're on the East Coast and I'm on the
You're
West Coast.
You're good. Now, this is important, and I really appreciate if I give you a little quick story for everybody to know how all this was put together. I was driving, I listened to a lot of podcasts, and I was listening to a podcast of Dr. Howard Farran, and this podcast that I was listening to, he has a podcast called Dentistry Uncensored. So sometimes you have some little words, it's just uncensored, so it's just great. But anyhow, Dr. Devin was there, and I was just like fascinating on some of the topics that you touched in there, because the whole thing was exactly the theme that we're having right now. So I shared with Andres, and I said, you need to listen to what she's saying, because this is another view. She's in the Navy, and it's touching some points that these are very important for you. And it was very deep about leadership, about your everything that you have touched in here. So then he took it upon himself to listen to it, and then contacted you. So when he called me, he said, Mom, she answered back and all these things. So that how you never know who you touch and how you touch them, right? So I hope that with what we have done in here, I know that this is recorded, that hopefully we can help any of you, or those that later listen to. We're here to help. You have a wealth of information inside. I'm on the outside. So that it couldn't be a better mix of what you have put together. So really, thank you. I know this took a lot of planning.
Thank you.
Yes, I am very grateful that all of you, including G, came today. Honestly, this is a wealth of knowledge. I learned a lot today myself. Again, the buttercup. I don't know if that's gonna be interesting. So I know I learned a lot myself. There were a lot of students that we have at Roseman that are in the HPSP as well. They had a lot of questions, but we do have an exam coming up. At least my year. So this is going to be recorded and sent out to all the students in the school as well. We're going to try to see if we can put it on YouTube because again, I know a lot of students have questions. And yeah, thank you all honestly for coming. I'm going to open up for floor questions. We do have one question. I believe it was for, let me see here. Candace Chester. She said, "Is there such thing as contract dentist or RHD? I'm a Navy vet, RDH, married to Marine Corps vet, but I do not want to go back active. I know there's so many contract workers on base. Wondering if that includes RDH and dentist."
Yes, yes, there is. Go to usajobs.gov and check it often because things will come open for a week and then they'll close after a week. But yes, that would be my biggest recommendation for you. And as a spouse and someone who has served, you actually get preferential treatment.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. And
Big tip.
anything? Yeah, you guys have given so many tips today. Honestly, I'm very grateful that you guys came. Do you guys have anything else? Do you ladies have anything else to add?
I'm going to put my military email address in the chat. I just saw someone asked for it, so I'll put it in there at health.mil, and I'll also put my my Gmail just account in there just in case. But if anyone has any questions regarding the HPSP, the process, I'm more than happy to answer it. And the beauty of where I work is if I don't know the answer or you want to talk to someone who is a pediatric dentist or an oral surgeon, or I had someone message me Air Force wise, guess what? I've got a lot of people I can reach out to. So if I can answer it, I'll find you someone who can. That's the military way for you. So
That's exactly right. And I put my information in there also. If anybody wants to visit or ask me if I don't know, I'll call someone, I find the answer.
Right. And these ladies are so famous that you can literally look their names up on Google and their information will come up. So Dr. Damaris
Don't know about that, but
and Dr. Corinne Devin, just look them up on Google. All their information will come up. And yeah, thank you guys so much for coming today.
awesome.
thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Have a good rest of your night.
Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
guys
Thank
take care.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.